Welcome back to the podcast. Joined with Gabe Yanez and I is none other than Josh Bridges. Now, Josh, former Navy SEAL, CrossFit Games athlete, incredible dad, and just total badass. So there's a lot that I want to talk about, but I think a good place to start is, because it's fresh in my mind, did you watch any of the CrossFit Games, and did you have any desire to be back on the floor? Had to start off like that.
I only watched all of it. I think I only watched all of it. So I'm a huge CrossFit fan. I have been a huge CrossFit fan since back in the day when you won the CrossFit Games. I don't know if people know that, but Jason's a CrossFit Games champion. And I remember watching you do the 30 clean and jerk thrusters at 155. And I went and did it afterwards. And I was like, oh my God, I love it. I loved it. I've been doing CrossFit forever, but yeah, so I'm a huge fan of the sport. And so, yes, of course, I watch it every single year. I never miss it. I watch all the regionals or whatever the hell they're called nowadays. And does it give me some desire? Of course, there's always that little bit, right? That competitor side. But, I just know who I am as a person. And if I went and did any aspect of it, whether it be the, age group or individual, like I would go 100% in, and I wouldn't like myself as a person because I didn't like myself as a person when I was a competitor, and I had to take time away from things that I didn't want to take time from.
There was one event that during the games, I can't remember the name of it, but you essentially pulled a sled and then uses parallel bars and then pulled a sled. It reminded me a lot of, I want to say it was called push pull, when you and Froning, I think I was somewhere not quite where you and Froning were like racing to the finish. Was that what it was called? Push pull?
Yep, that's it. Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, it was like one of the most epic finishes in CrossFit Games history. And I believe you won.
Yeah, I won. I won by like half a second.
Yes.
Yeah, and it was an epic battle. It was actually the last time Rich and I competed against each other underneath the lights. I don't remember. 14 was 14 your last year too?
As an individual. And then I went to the teams.
Then
you stayed on in 15 is when you did that incredible Murph performance, right?
No. So 15 is when I didn't qualify. 15 was like the turnaround for my career, where I didn't qualify. I had gotten out of the Navy and I was like becoming a full-time athlete, and I didn't qualify. And I was like, oh man, it's time to put up or shut up. So I went 16, 17, and 18 were my last 3 years. And so 16 is when I did Murph.
Bro, that was I just remember, I think it was the first event of the games, right?
No, that was Friday morning, and we'd done a workout on Wednesday, a couple workouts on Wednesday and Thursday. So it was like the third workout.
Do you like the name? So right now CrossFit is choosing to use the word test, but there's also some discrepancy because there's like workout, event, and test. I see why they want to call it test, because they're not saying like these are workouts or these are events. This is a test of how well you've been preparing. What do you like better, workout, event, or test? This is super hard when you're talking about it, because I always revert back to like what I'm comfortable with Chip typically is like event.
Right. Like it seems, I don't think I have a preference on any of them. I think that test probably suits it the best at the CrossFit Games. Event is still fine, and then workout is just it is just a workout, to be honest. You know what I mean? So I think all three work. I think for the CrossFit Games, I don't mind test. I did notice it too, though. I noticed it as they were talking about it. I'm like, test, huh? I never heard him say that.
Dude, we're commentating, and like half the time it's like, so on this event, test, like, and it's just like, at some point we just all looked at each other as like announcers and just like, look, whatever you say, just like let it ride. Because when you go back and try and change it, it just builds more like focus on it, So
yeah, you did a great job, by the way, man. I loved it. I loved watching you out there. You're always, you have so much emotion, so much, like you could tell you wanted to say something, but you're like, I'm probably not supposed to say something. So I'm going to hold off for a second. You're all fired up, and I loved it, man.
Dude,
loved it.
Dude, yeah.
Speaking of though, I wanted to mention, I don't know if you caught it, but when he was introing you for the podcast, it felt like he still had his ESPN voice going.
I know.
And on the podcast now, like he's still riding it. I love it.
Dude, I know, it's phenomenal. It was cool, man. I enjoyed hearing your voice on there, man. Always fun to watch you out there. You know, you're enthusiastic, you're emotional, and that's like two of my favorite things.
Dude, yeah, the ESPN show. So I did the live broadcast for Age Group and Adaptive, which was a cool experience. My co-host or my co-partner, whatever you want to call it, Tom, is the 3-time seeded with hip function adaptive champion. And him and I had a good opportunity to talk about adaptive athletes. I just, they're newer in the sport. And so to be honest, like I just haven't spent as much time understanding them. Have you ever watched Casey AcKree? Have you ever seen any of his stuff?
No.
Bro.
No, I'm the same way. Like I'm the same as you. Like I haven't, like it is newer to the sport, and I just haven't really seen much of it, or like the teen. I didn't see a lot of the teens either. I just saw the some of the, the age group, the masters, I guess, if you want to call it that, whatever you want to call it. So like the teen and the adaptive, I haven't had much exposure to, I guess.
Well, the Casey AcKree, if you get a chance, I'll pull up I'll send you guys a video. Dude, this guy, so he has he has the loss of a limb from, if I'm not mistaken, from his elbow down, right? So he has no right hand or left hand. I don't know which one it is. And he is cleaning and snatching. I mean, Gabe, I don't know if you want to pull up on your computer what his total was from the CrossFit Games, but his total was like, I don't know, like 500 pounds of a clean and jerk and a snatch with a single limb. Like he uses like an attachment to the bar and then he catches it like on his, it is fascinating, dude. And
that's insane.
Right? Yeah.
That's 500. My total right now wouldn't be 500.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Gabe, do you see it on there? If you want to look it up, when he sees it, it's like cause everybody did a total. So what I liked, and tell me what you think, Josh, everybody did a 5K and everybody did a total for the clean and jerk and the snatch. I thought that was pretty cool. And they did it on the same day for the individuals.
That's really cool. It is cool because then, that's like one of my favorite parts about CrossFit is that they'll put these workouts in the games that anyone can do, right? And then they don't even have to scale, like the row box jump over, burpee box jump over. Like anybody can do that workout, right? You can go, or hell in a, maybe not bar muscle ups, and maybe not everybody can do bar muscle ups, but for the majority of CrossFitters, you could literally go and compare yourself to what the best in the world can do it at. And that's always a cool thing.
Yeah, for sure. Gabe, it was a
500-pound total.
Dude,
that's crazy. I would not like with my, I haven't really snatched much. I mean, I do, I go light, I'll go to like 185, but like after that, like my elbow will just give out on me. And so that's insane. This dude doesn't even have half an arm.
Yeah.
Right. That's crazy.
Yeah. I was,
my excuses sound really valid. Right.
Well, so do you still have the injury? I shouldn't say do you still have. I remember, when we were competing at the games, it's just like a known thing. Like you would go to your judge and be like, look, dude, this is where my elbow extension's at. And it was just like a known thing. Cause I had a gentleman come up to me at the games and he's like, hey, my elbow doesn't extend out because of this injury, that injury. Do you have any recommendations for, I want to say handstand walking? And I kind of recommended, can you try it where one hand is on a mat and one hand is off the mat, so your hands are at equal distance? I didn't know what else to recommend because I don't have that same concern. But I was like, someone who has a similar issue is Josh Bridges. You should go see what he's talked about with that. So how's your elbow doing now? Because I remember it had a hard time getting extension.
Yeah, it's still there. It still doesn't have the extension. I had a surgery. It didn't do anything. And so I've thought about doing one more surgery, going to maybe a better surgeon and a better elbow guy and seeing if they could do anything that would help it, but it really hasn't. And to be honest, it only limits me in a couple things. I can actually handstand walk just fine. And I don't have any issues with my elbow not getting locked out for handstand walking. I turn my hands out, right? So I don't want to be here. I want to be here when I'm walking, and I'm fine. But when I go overhead with clean and jerk or snatch, it just will it'll just buckle, right? Because as you can see, like that's the extension compared. And so it'll just buckle. And I just kind of have like dealt with it. It's like, okay, I just don't get to snatch that heavy, and that's okay. Like I don't need to, right? It's not one of my goals anymore to be the guy who could snatch the most weight. And so for me, it's just like, I just basically deal with it. The front rack positioning does get a little funny because it doesn't come all the way back. And so for front squatting, I've actually used like a
strap.
Like a strap. Yeah. And I'll hold on to the strap, and that's helped out a little bit. I don't do it all the time. I only do it when I try to go a little bit heavier with my front squat. But yeah, it's like, there's nothing I can do. It literally just, there's bone spurs in it. And so, and there was no injury. It just, all of a sudden I started losing range of motion, and it was really weird. And so I don't know exactly how to fix it. And every doctor has been like, if you weren't an athlete, I'd tell you just to deal with it. That's pretty much what they say is they're like, we can go in, remove them. They might come back, so because bone spurs are just basically calcified inflammation.
Have you found that it's affected anything else on like that side of the chain? Cause I have a similar elbow thing. I think that's, especially with someone that's doing as much volume as you, like that ends up being the concern, is that now you're a little off balance. You get like a trap thing, get like a hip thing. It could go like all the way down to even lower body at that point.
What's so funny is that every injury that so my left knee is messed up still, right? I still have from an injury, and then all of a sudden my left knee doesn't have, my left knee has bone spurs in it, and everything's on my left side. And I grew up very right-footed dominated. And I did a lot of throwing sports. I played soccer, I ran. And so my right leg is stronger, and everything on my right side is fine, 100% perfect, and then everything on my left side, my weaker side, my non-dominant side, is the side that's injured. And I didn't do a lot of like corrective or, balancing out of my left side, right? I didn't go in and I didn't have someone telling me, hey, you need to do some extra reps on that left side because you're constantly throwing with your right arm, and you're not doing anything with your left arm, and you're doing, you're kicking soccer balls with your right foot and you're not kicking with your left foot. Right. And so the whole balancing. And so I'm definitely working that with my kids who are doing throwing sports and things like that. And so I think that would have been a game changer.
Dude. Well, speaking of which, because you kind of teed it up, I do want to go back to the CrossFit Games, but two things that come to mind. One is you're like, hey man, like I don't really snatch over 185 very often. And for me, like I only do it when the vibe is right and I'm trying to like get after it. There was 185 at the CrossFit Games Open. And dude, by the time I got to that, it felt real heavy, but your goals have changed, right? You're not trying to be the fittest on earth. You have different goals. And then also obviously with your two boys, right? How old are your two boys?
13 and 11.
Okay. So I want to ask, like, what, if you could summarize your fitness goals right now, how would you summarize it?
I would say I want to be healthy and fit enough to do anything active and play sports with my kids. And I want to live a long, healthy life where I'm not just like alive and like sitting here. I want to be able to be active until the day I die. You know what I mean? And so that's my goals and anymore. And I just like, both my boys, my 13-year-old's playing tackle football this year. He just got finished with baseball. He wants to play basketball. And so now my goal in the gym is to like help them, meet their goals, right? We're doing speed and agility. We're doing some strength training, for both of them, and my 11-year-old just like always wants to get after it. I freaking love it, dude. Like he's like, Dad, what am I doing today? We doing squats, we doing deadlifts, we doing clean and jerks, we doing snatches, we doing agility. And I'm like, I'm like, yeah, let's go. And so,
cause you live close to them now. Like they live, for a while, you guys were a little bit, you had to commute, you had to travel, right?
Only for like a 3-month period, because so we've always lived very close together, right? Me and my ex-wife. And, we basically decided to get out to leave California, and move somewhere else to Denver, and to get them. My house was still being built here in Denver, and we wanted to get them here to start school in August. So it was only like a very short period of time where we had to do some commuting, but no, yeah, I'm with them all the time. Yeah. And so, and then when they're not with me, they're calling me up being like, Dad, what am I doing? They have workout stuff with their moms. So it's like, we're getting after it no matter what.
Dude, so let's talk about that. And I definitely want to hear, so Gabe's son is, like I was telling you earlier, Gabe's the new father, right? My son is 9, my daughter is 12. And so kind of similar ages.
Yeah, very similar age. Yeah, for sure.
And, I'd be curious your thoughts on this. So I just finished right before we got on the podcast. I was doing like pretty aggressive combatives training with them in terms of like self-defense. So especially with my daughter, I really, really care about her just like instantly, if there's an attacker, being so blatantly violent that they immediately decide like, hey, you're not the one I want to attack. Right.
Yeah.
So we're doing 30-second intervals, 30 seconds Caden, 30 seconds Ava, just back and forth where they're pushing me. I'm trying to take them somewhere and I want them to be able to get away. It's not like ground fighting, but I don't even want them to get to the ground. I want them to be able to get off. So anyways, the reason why I bring that up is that my kids have gotten to a point where they too, especially my daughter, like she feels good when she trains. She's texting me, hey, what's my workout for today if I'm traveling? Like, how do you think we got so lucky to get to that point? Like, what do you think you did to ingrain this? And then have you ever gone too far and had to tone it back? Because I know I did maybe 5 years ago, I had to tone it back. What are your thoughts there with kids in training?
Yeah, that's a phenomenal question. I think we did get really lucky, right? And I think that it is something that we did correct. My whole time when I was as my boys were growing up and I was being a dad, I never wanted working out to feel like a punishment. So I never forced them to come into the gym. I wanted it always to be their decision. If they wanted to come into the gym and get a workout and they wanted to do it, then come on in. And I got some great resources that can help you out, and we'll get you whatever goal you want to be in. But I never wanted them to feel like, oh, I have to do this. Oh man, dad's making me come work out. And so it's never been a thing. It's like, hey, you guys want to work out? Yep. Yes. No. Okay, cool. Maybe tomorrow then. And I'll keep asking. Right. And I just kept consistently asking and always asking and like, hey, you want to come work out with me? Cool. And then now it's like, they're asking me, my younger one's like, hey dad, what you want to work out? Damn right I do. I do, boy. Let's go. And I think that that had a lot to do with it, because the only way I can correlate it is church, right? A lot of people correlate church with when they're young, their parents force them to go. And then it almost feels like, hey, you're going to church this Sunday, no matter what, right? Or you're in trouble, so you're coming to church. Like it was a punishment a lot of times. And I remember hearing someone say that and be like, I never want working out to feel that way for them. Like, oh, I have to do this because I'm in trouble. And so and we actually had a discussion yesterday. I was actually kind of driving home because my older son is now his buddies are getting into working out, right? He's 13 and he's playing tackle football. So, right. Other kids are starting to work out.
Yeah. They all want to get jacked, bro.
They all want to get huge, right? All that testosterone's coming in, it's flowing. They're going through puberty, they're becoming little men. And I'm like, man, it's it's cool. It's cool to see. And I was kind of talking to him. I'm like, this is this is the beginning of your fitness journey. And it is, I'm so stoked for you guys, because what fitness has done for me in my entire life, it's built relationships, it's built discipline, it's built all these great characteristics with me. And I have all these phenomenal memories of just working out with friends or by myself and going through these ups and downs and highs and lows and building confidence in yourself, right? Walking around and just being confident, right? Working out builds so many great characteristics in yourself, and you have such a lifelong journey. And don't get focused on day by day, right? Don't get focused on if you hit the lift that you wanted to hit, or if you're lifting the most out of your 3 buddies right now. It doesn't matter, because your journey is different than theirs, right? You're a different person, and maybe they are bigger than you, or maybe they are, maybe they haven't been doing it as long as you. So it doesn't matter where you guys are at. It's the fact that you guys are doing it together, and it's you're building this camaraderie, and you're building this just cool foundation for the rest of your life, to know that no matter what, no matter your goals shift, your life shifts, fitness is going to be something that you're going to have to rely on no matter what, right? Just to be healthy and live longer and be strong and be able to do the things that you want to do. And so it's so cool to see that my boys are and they're understanding, they're hearing it, and they're understanding what I'm saying. And it's not just oh, dad's just talking to talk.
Well, I think that both of you, I completely agree. but I think it's like less luck and more the fact that like you guys have lived it in front of them for so long. Like that's such a big piece of it, because I know that, I mean, our son is just 8 months, but it's surprising how much they start just mimicking everything you do. And we bring him to the gym. We have a little swing that we hang on the rig, and he's there swinging around, but he's watching the fact that mom and dad work out every single day. Like we just go, it's like we brush our teeth every day. We go to bed every night. We go to the gym every day. And it just becomes a thing to like, to your point, it's never something that, oh, ate a bunch over the weekend, like now we have to go burn off the calories or anything. It's just something that we do. It's like baseline. And I think that that goes to so many things: nutrition, how you treat others. It's just everything that you guys emulate as absolute badasses in fitness, they're going to want to be. And I think a part of it too is looking the part, right? Like looking jacked, because they want to look like you guys. And I think that that's another piece, especially with, you know, boys that are coming up on 11, 13. Like I'm sure they're looking at dad and they're like, dude, that's my dad, and I want to look like that, which is really fucking cool.
Yeah, it is. It's really cool. It is. You know, it's like, you know, I think dad bods are like the worst, you know, thing that you can, like, I don't want a dad bod. That sounds terrible to me. I want to be able to, I don't want to have to call my neighbor to move a fucking chair in my house. You know what I mean? Like I want to be able to just pick it up myself and move it, or like move it. Right. Like it's
dude,
funny.
What's worse, Josh? So I get home from the CrossFit Games. I've been gone for like close to a week, which is, you know, a pretty long time to be away from the family. But I get home, and the first thing my son says, "Hey, Dad, you want to go play baseball later?" I'm like, "What do you think my answer is?" Yes.
Yeah.
Not I'm tired, or hey man, you know, I can't. Like, dude, it's just not even a thing. It's not even like I think about it all the time. Like, imagine if you're a dad, like, dude, if you're not motivated by the 6-pack abs, or the better health markers, or the better mental clarity, whatever, like be motivated for your kids, dude, because like you got to show up for them. Right. Like, I don't know, man. I you know, you and I, obviously we're completely on the same page there. It's just, as my son gets older, he has more demands, more and more demands every day, every week, every month, every year from me. His demands go up, but my fitness, if I wasn't paying attention, would go down. Right. And my fitness needs to reach and exceed where he's going, you know, like, especially with you, with 2 boys, like, and yeah, I just, dude, yeah, I can't see how someone can't see that value, like to get their stuff together, to get in the garage, to go to a gym, go train, so that they can show up better for their kids, you know?
Dude, 100%, man. I couldn't agree with you anymore. Like being able to be there and being able to be active, and not being the dad that's like, yeah, just go play with your buddies. Let me like relax and have a beer and sit on the couch. Like, I don't fucking care about sitting on the couch and drinking a beer. Like, dude, like I get done with like these ridiculous workouts still. I mean, they're not nearly as ridiculous as they used to be, but you know, you're still pretty tired. And the first thing exactly is in my head is like, hey, Jack, your goal is to go play baseball right now. You want to go hit. Let's go. I'll go pitch to you for an hour, right? I'll go throw. I don't care. It doesn't, like, I'd rather do that than go come in the house and sit on the couch and drink a beer and then watch my son just sit there and play games on his Nintendo or whatever the hell, or Xbox or whatever the hell they are right now. So yeah, I agree with you 100%, man. Like, it's fun. I love it. Like, I get up, I do my workout. And then it's normally like, we're going to play sports. We're going to do something. And then at the end of the day, after the sports is when we come in and we do some strength training. And it's like, that's pretty much my days now. And I couldn't ask for anything. And I wouldn't want to do anything else.
Let me ask you this. Your son started playing tackle was this his first year at tackle?
This is literally his first year. It's like his first tackle practice was yesterday.
Yeah. So, you know, my son, he's 9, he's been playing flag football. He's really into baseball, but with tackle football, we're thinking about getting him into it about the same age, like 12, 13 is what we're thinking. And my logic there is I want him to get a year or 2 of experience before high school. Was that kind of the same thing that you were thinking, or why did you wait till 13?
Yeah. So he's been wanting to play tackle for a couple of years, and me and their mom, you know, I was just like, every football player, NFL guy, at least, it was like, you don't need to play tackle football until you're in high school, you know? And I'm like, man, if the pros are saying this, right? He's like, you basically just have to have an athletic kid. It's not football. Don't get me wrong. Football is a tough sport, and there is some technical things to it, right? You played football, right? Yeah. And so, you know, like I never played tackle football. I just never had the desire to. I didn't want to. I wrestled, and like football just wasn't something I didn't get into it. I don't know why, but him and all his buddies are big into tackle football. And I knew that you just basically needed to be a good athlete, right? You need to be agile. You need to be fast. You need to be able to run. You need to be able to throw, catch, things like that. And like getting your head pounded over and over again from the time you're like in 5th grade on seems like a bit like overkill, where you don't need to play the tackle. You need to build the skills of being able to run, and putting your hands on each other is fine. Like learning how to put your hands on another kid is definitely something you need to do. And we did it with wrestling, right? My kids wrestled from a young age. And so, yeah, me and their mom talked and we were like, okay, I think 8th grade is a good year. It's a year before high school. Like you said, get him 1 year of contact, right? So he's not like scared going into high school of contact. And so, and that's kind of how we decided on allowing him this year, then, making him wait 1 more year. It was like 13. It was like, okay, I think I'm okay with him playing tackle football this year. It was a tough decision, man. You never want to see your kid get hurt. You don't want to see any sort of like concussions or things like that. I don't know. Did you have concussions as playing football young?
No, not really. I mean, I got hurt really bad racing BMX bikes, but it's just, it's such a fine line as a parent, because you want to put your kids in the best position to thrive. And with that comes some struggle. Like, dude, my best friends in the world came from playing football in high school. Like you make foster these connections through shared suffering and hard work, probably like the same way that you did in the teams or on your wrestling crew. Right. Yeah. But with that also comes some risk, not the same as being in the teams, but you know what I'm saying? So it's like this weird fine line that I think we're trying to balance as parents, right? Like where we don't want to put our kids in a bubble, but we also don't want to intentionally put them in a position to get too hurt. So I think like we're saying the exact same thing, which makes me feel like, okay, hopefully we're on the right track,
Yeah. No, I hope we're doing it right. Like, I don't know if I'm right or not. I really don't. I don't know if, exactly. You're right. Like, I don't want my kid to be the kid that I like helicopter over him and I coddle him too much and I make him soft, right? This world is not a fucking soft place. And I don't want them to go out and like, once they're on their own, to not realize how, like, not to be able to deal with things, right? And not to deal with hard situations, not to deal with loss, not to deal with, whatever life throws at them. And I think that sports is a great way to like prepare them for that, right? And yeah, sometimes you're gonna get fucking hit and knocked down. And football, and that's gonna happen in football. And right, you got to get back up and you got to go again. And they're gonna hand you the ball again. You're gonna have to run again with it, right? So, I think sports are great. I think that, like you said, there is definitely some risk versus reward there. And for us, it like early on, I was like, no, his brain is still growing. He's still developing. Let's let that brain not take as many hits. And let's just make him a great athlete.
Yep.
Yeah. I forgot who said this, but like one of the keys to like helping your kids develop, I saw this in a video somewhere, is to let them do dangerous things carefully. Right? Like they have to do that stuff and you have to mitigate the risks like to what's in your control. But if you try and eliminate all the things that are dangerous out there that they might, break a bone, have a concussion, whatever, then you're really stunting their growth. But there's ways to mitigate the risk. Like I think what you said, that makes perfect sense, right? Like having an age where, okay, it makes sense now if this is the way they want to go, not, pee-wee tackle football from an early age, because that seems like a little like overkill. And of course, that's going to be personal decision for everyone, but I think that to me makes perfect sense.
Yeah. I mean, it is. It's tough. Dude, you don't get a fucking manual as a parent, like Gabe, no one handed you the manual when your son was born, right after. It's like, there is no fucking manual. And we all have to like make our own decisions and we all have to like guide ourselves through these parenting decisions. And man, it is not easy. And like, sometimes you don't make the right decision. And sometimes you think you don't make the right decision, but maybe you did. And then it's wild, man. Being a parent is crazy. And then like the cool thing about it though, is sometimes you'll be saying things to your kids and all of a sudden they don't like, at the moment, you don't feel like they're it's not resonating with them or they're not understanding it. And then like, I don't know, a week later, they say something like, oh, that shit did sink in. That's cool. Like that's been some really cool experiences for me.
Yeah, we had Matt Boudreau on the podcast. We were talking about a lot of this thing about like how kids when they're born are at like a factory reset and then you get to control the inputs that go in there. And I think that like something I lean on, right, is like, dude, I'm never going to be perfect. But every day I just ask myself like, hey, how am I doing? Am I doing my best to try and, you make the best decision you can with the information you have right in front of you and you do everything you can to, I think about that sometimes with my parents, right? Like my dad came from Iran. My mom lost her dad at a really young age. And there's always ways you could look back and be like, oh, I wonder if this could have been different. It's like, dude, my parents did everything they could to give me the best life they could. And what parent wouldn't want to? I mean, if but you got to keep showing up, you got to keep trying, and that's kind of where my head's at with our kids. I want to ask you a question, Josh. So you have football, your boys also do wrestle, and they play baseball. What do you do anything else to expose them to hard things within reason, or do you mainly do training and sports? Is that kind of where you focus on? And if so, what's up with this idea that if your kids lift weights, it's going to stunt their growth? How do you feel about that? How do you mitigate that? And how do you expose them to more hard things?
Yeah. Hard things. It mainly is, I feel like sports and working out really is like the hard things. Obviously they have chores, you got like, you don't give your kids chores, like you're doing them a disservice as well. Right. Like if they don't know how to do the dishes or, cook, I'm teaching them like basic skills too, like cooking, like, hey, one day I'm not going to be the one cooking your eggs every morning or making your steak at night or whatever you're eating. Right. Or your mac and cheese. Like I don't do mac and cheese all that often, but I'm also not an asshole dad, right? I want to give him some good stuff. Yeah. So I'm trying to teach him how to do this stuff. It's like, hey, sometimes, or you got to sweep the floor. You don't want to be a dirtball, pick up your clothes, clean up your room, right? Make your bed first thing in the morning. I wouldn't call those things hardships, but life lessons, right? That like, if you're not really taught how to do it, you will. I mean, I've been around kids who in their mid-20s didn't know how to do laundry or didn't, would just leave the dishes in the sink. And you're like, you're an asshole, man. And you don't ever want to be that kid. And I like to, and when we come home from the grocery store or come home from a trip, right? It's like, hey, you don't just get out of the car and go in the house and think you're done, right? It's we take care of the family stuff, and then we take care of our stuff, and then we take care of ourselves, right? So like, say you're hungry, we get home from a trip and you're really hungry. It doesn't matter. You're going to take all the shit out of the car first, all the family gear out of the car, and we're going to do it together. And then you're going to take care of your stuff. You're going to bring it up to your room. And then at that moment, now, once everything's done, now we're going to take care of yourselves. Like now you take care of your belly, right? If you're hungry, then you get to eat. And that's just like life lessons I learned from the teams, right? It's team gear, self gear. Then you take care of yourself, right? And that's how it should be, right? So that you're not building this habit where it's like, oh, you get out of the car, we'll get to that shit whenever, and I probably won't even do it. My dad will just do it, right? No, no, that's not how it works. And so building those little things into kids, I think helping them understand that, as a family, right, we all help each other, and that's what we're here for, right? We're here to help and not just take care of ourselves. And so that's one of the things I have really tried to ingrain into my boys.
Yeah, that's an interesting concept. I can see how that relates to the team so much, right? I mean, yeah. Gabe, were you gonna say something?
Uh-oh. No, it just reminds me of I talked to you about this on the podcast. The first parenting book, and it's interesting because it wasn't a parenting book at all, really, was Raising Men. It was actually written by a former Navy SEAL, and takes his lessons on the teams and applies it to parenting, specifically raising boys. And it was a really good book because it ended up not being so much about like the actual like things that you want to do with your kids, but more about like personal responsibility and you being the leader that they'll look up to. So it's funny hearing you kind of talk about some of these things now, because obviously being a SEAL, there's a lot of parallels there. So
yeah, I never heard that book. What was it called again?
Raising Men.
Okay, nice.
Yeah,
check that out. Yeah, I have to check that out. Yeah, I mean, it's just the life lessons that I learned that I didn't really have a dad, right? My dad was not around. I had a stepdad for a few years, but yeah, like it's weird. It's hard. I remember having moments where like I wished I had a dad, and like I would see my buddies with their dads and like have these relationships, and I never had it. And so like the moment I had my kids, it was like all I wanted to do was like, I remember like holding them and being like, I'm never going to let anything hurt you, and I'm going to teach you everything I know, And so like those moments are so cool. And I just don't even know how a guy or a man wouldn't want to do the same thing, right? Like wouldn't want to be around his kids and help them in this life, right? This like tough life that like they're gonna, no matter what, it's gonna be hard, and they're gonna have hard moments. And I want to like, help them be ready for all those things.
Yeah. So when it comes to like, let me ask you this. If your sons said, hey, Dad, I want to specialize in CrossFit, right? I want to be a 14 to 15-year-old CrossFit Games competitor. What would you say?
I've thought about this quite a bit, and I wouldn't push him away from it. I'd be like, are you sure that's what you want to do? Because you only have a shelf life for being a athlete for so long, right? An athlete has a shelf life. It doesn't matter who you are. Father Time's going to come around and he's going to pull you off the shelf and be like, it's time for you to put that part of your life away. And if CrossFit is something you really feel strongly about and passionate about, then yeah, let's go. Like, we'll do it. But I want to make sure that it's not just like, oh, I want to do it because Dad did it. And it's for me, because it's not for me. My athletic career, my journey, like, I enjoyed it. I loved it. And I did it for me. And so I don't want them to ever do anything for me. I want them to do it for themselves. Right. And to love it. So if they said they did, and I felt like it was genuine, then I'd dive head first into it with them. I love the fact that we don't even really do CrossFit that much. We do in the gym, we do more strength, agility, speed work, some accessory stuff, but like, we're not doing CrossFit workouts. We're not doing Metcons. We're doing, a lot of stuff to make them a better, well-rounded athlete. And I want them to play as many sports as they can to basically figure out what they're passionate about, right? What do you love? What is the things that keeps you up at night that like you think about all day and all night? And then like you wake up and it's the first thing you're thinking about. Like, that's what you should be going after. And I don't care what it is. Like, it's just what you love.
Yeah. We talked about this on the podcast. It specifically came up when Mal O'Brien, pulled out of competing this year. And the conversation Jay and I basically had was, I feel like the way the sport is evolving now and the amount of like volume, time in the gym and different skills that it requires, it could be a very isolating sport to get into, not to mention tough on the body. And yes, any sport can be tough on the body in different respects. But I think that, there's kind of this question of like, even if we're just trying to raise the healthiest, most athletic, kids, how much value is in them spending the amount of time you need to spend in the gym as a 13, 14-year-old to be a teen champion when they could be getting all of the other skills that come from team sports, general athleticism, also being around their peers, right? Like, I feel like if you are going to be one of these like stud teen athletes in the sport, you're probably spending a lot of time with older athletes that are doing this stuff. And there's kind of that balance to it as well. So it's a conversation Jay and I had. It was interesting to get your take on it.
Yeah, it's tough, Oh, sorry, Jay, go ahead.
Well, I was going to completely pivot to something else I had a question for you on, but we'll finish this thought because.
I think it's, it's hard. It's because if for some reason a 14 or 15-year-old just finds passion in working out, like, it's hard to be like, no, don't do that. Play sports. It's like, I love CrossFit. I fell in love with it immediately. Like, it was like, and I was 22 and, I'm glad I went down that route, and I wasn't 14. I wasn't 13. I did play sports, right? I wrestled in college. I played baseball through high school or halfway through high school. I played soccer. I played rugby. I played all these different sports and I loved all of them. And it's hard to tell a kid like, hey, they're watching the CrossFit Games now, right? They do have these ambitions. They do have these heroes or people to look up to, and so I don't know. It's tough. I wouldn't turn them away, but I make sure that it was, what they really were passionate about.
Yeah, that makes sense. Speaking of heroes to look up to, it's so I'm at the Coliseum and Roman, one of the CrossFit Games competitors this year, he was having a very dominant performance. I mean, dude, he was just crushing it. And then he gets over this wall, for lack of a better term. His foot comes down and basically gets broken. His foot on like a sandbag. So he like oddly lands, breaks his foot on a sandbag. And the next event after that was a double under event. And did you watch that one, Josh?
Of course. I told you I watched all of it.
Yeah. And man, he gets in there and the stadium goes ape shit. I mean, it is going out of its mind because he's doing double unders on his right foot. And it was interesting because I was watching, I was like, did you think that on his right foot, he'd be better at double unders than if it was his left foot? But after more consideration, I don't know what you think of this. I actually think it's easier for me to hop my left foot than it is for my right foot because I'm right-footed. I typically plant with my left foot. So if I'm kicking or doing anything, I'm typically planting with my left foot. So for him to do that many double unders on his right foot with a broken left foot, it was pretty impressive, man. But you talk about looking up to people. I feel like at that moment, people connected more with Roman because it was hard to connect with him because he doesn't speak any English and he's from Russia. But at that moment, man, people just appreciated effort. And he has a young boy, and he said that he wanted to have, something like this, like, I wanted my son to see that we don't quit or something like that. It was super powerful, dude.
Yeah, it was really cool. I watched it, and it was a cool display of heart, right? And then the fact that he mentioned that it was like for his son, he didn't want to show him that he wouldn't quit. I mean, dude, and the dude had enough points with 2 events left to not basically get any more points and still take third. Like, that's pretty damn impressive alone. But then to continue to go out there and not withdraw, right? Like, if he withdraw, he doesn't get his bronze medal. Right. And he earned that bronze medal. Like, he was so damn dominant, like, throughout the year, the weekend. It was such a bummer because the race between him and Adler would have been so phenomenal those last 2 workouts. Like, I was so bummed that it happened because it was so tight. I mean, it was a 2-point race at that point. Dude. And I was like, damn, that sucks. And I mean, good on him for continuing to go out there and show heart, right? Show the community that, like, you know, not to give up, not to quit when things don't go your way, when shit happens, like, cause life happens, man. You're going to get knocked down. You're going to get hurt. You're going to get injured. Shit's not going to go your way. Things aren't going to happen perfectly. And you just got to sometimes adapt and overcome and get the job done. And that's what he did. And that's what he put out there on display. And it was really cool to see. And it was cool that he still got a medal and he was still on the podium.
Yeah. I was pretty surprised. I mean, Brent needed to get better than 8th place in the last event to pass him up. And Brent
he didn't. I know. Dude. I was watching the same thing. I was like, damn, Brent, go. Bro, I was like, go.
Bro. So I'm watching it, right? I'm like, bah, 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 bah. You know, they get off and, like, he was super methodical. He got on the bike, got on the thrusters, blah, blah, blah. And then he's on the overhead lunges and, like, Vellner's right here. And dude, I want to say Brent dropped the bar like 2 or 3 times. I'm like, go. And, you know, I know here I am, like, what do you call that? A couch? Quarterback.
Armchair quarterback. Yeah.
Like talking shit while he's the one out there actually.
I know.
He's the man in the arena and I'm just talking shit. But that being said, dude, I was just like, no, you know, like,
dude, I had the exact same thought, man. Cause I like Brent, you know, and don't get me wrong. It would have sucked for Roman if he wouldn't have got the bronze, but man, like, damn, I thought the same thing. I was like, Brent, what the fucking go. And I'm like, but again, you're saying the same thing. Like, I'm just in here, you know, I haven't done 11 workouts prior in the last 3 days. Yeah. So man, it was crazy. I was like kind of shocked. I almost would love to know, and this is pure speculation, like if Brent had something in him, like he didn't want to for Roman. I mean, I don't know, man. There's some weird mind things. Cause did you see him after that?
What he said?
Yeah, what he said after Roman with on the double unders, and I was like, ooh, like he almost like he's losing his. He almost became too passionate in a competition.
Yeah, I think what it was. I think that he's known as a professor. He likes to be calculated. I think he had a game plan. I think when you get on the lunges, man, like your game plan needs to be finish. Like I think that he like over calculated it. And if you know, you just got to push through. That's my take. I'd love to talk to him about it. Actually, I think it'd be a really interesting conversation.
I love it. Like, you know, it might have even been like he didn't like do it on purpose, but it was like in the back of his mind. Yeah. You know, like
subconscious self-sabotage or something like that.
Yeah. Like, am I taking this away from Roman? Am I taking his moment away? You know, like, which as a competitor, you're like, I want to beat everyone, you know, I mean, and sucks that he got hurt, but like, hey man, I'm still here, you know, and who knows? Like, I don't know. I don't want to say that's what happened. It was just something that I thought that went through my brain when I saw it.
That reminds me of, this is a conversation I've had with Jason in the past, and Josh, I'm curious your take. Do you think that there's like a detrimental aspect to the popularity overall of the sport, of the fact that like one of the things that makes CrossFit so unique is how supportive and how like kumbaya the like group of athletes are, which I think there's a very positive element to that. But I think that in all other sports, there is a like, I am here to win and not make friends. And I think the sport has, I think Ricky Garrard could have been that guy coming off the suspension, but I think the sport has always lacked somebody that comes in with that mentality where they're like, they don't give a fuck. Like they're not trying to make friends. They're out there trying to like beat you and beat you by as much as possible. Do you think that that has hurt the sport a little bit?
I think
the lack of that.
I think that it could have hurt some competitors for sure. Like, I love what you're saying. And I actually, it's funny that we're bringing this up because I was literally, I'm actually like helping a girl out here in Denver who is trying to compete, and I'm kind of helping coaching it. And we were literally, I'm not even kidding, before I got on this podcast, having this exact conversation where like, I don't want to be your friend. We can be friends like Jason and I, right? Or Rich and I, or Dan and I, or any of those guys that we were big competitors in that time from 11 to 14, right? Like I thought these guys were awesome dudes and I wanted to be their friend, but on the floor, I fucking hated them. I hated every one of them. And I wanted them all to be right behind me. That's all I wanted. I don't care what they do. I don't care what place they get. All I want them to do is be behind me. I want to crush all of them. And that was literally my mindset. And I wanted to fuck with their heads. And I remember me and Jay, like I remember giving Jason some shit on some like buses sometimes too, like talking shit. But that was like, I like playing mind games, but man, like,
because you're trying to win, dude. Like,
when I was there, all I wanted to do was win. I did not give a fuck. I didn't want any, like, I didn't care what you guys did. Yes, was I your friend? But I was there to win. And that was the sole purpose. And I trained way too fucking hard to like go in there and be like, there's just my friend. So yeah, Gabe, I think to your point, I think you're right. I think sometimes there can be a little too much like, oh, I want them to do great too. Yeah, I want them to do great. Fucking right behind me. That's what I want them to do.
Yeah, I think for me, man, it's like the sport, you got to be competitive. You have to have that cutthroat, I'm here to win. It doesn't mean that I don't like Josh. It surely doesn't mean that I want Josh to get hurt, because to me, like as a competitor, I don't like seeing my other competitors get hurt, because it also, first off, obviously as a human, I don't want them to get hurt, but it also like as a competitor, like, bro, I want to compete at Josh at his best. I don't want to compete at Josh when, he's, whatever, like that's not, there's no glory in that. You know what I mean? Like, and I think if you ask any competitor with Roman, they don't want Roman to get hurt. And they don't. And I truly believe that that's the case. Do they want to beat him? Hell yeah. But they don't want him to get hurt, No.
There was actually those are great points, because that's what I was going to say, was the fact that like when Rich and you and like all those top guys kind of left the individual side after 14, there was a little bit of like, damn, like I wanted to beat those guys, because these guys are at the apex, right? These guys are at the top of the game, and now they're going to a team sport, like whatever, they get to do what they want. But I wanted another shot, to win, to beat you guys. And I felt bad. I don't feel bad for Laura, because Laura went out and she fucking absolutely crushed this weekend. And so did Emma Lawson, and so did Ariel Lowen. Like they all did phenomenal. But in my head, if I was those people, I would be like, damn, Tia wasn't here. Damn, Mal wasn't here. And who cares? In the end, it doesn't matter. Laura did her job, right? She went out and she competed against the people she got to compete against. But there would be that little thing in the back of my head being like, I wanted to be, she probably wants to be, and Laura seems to have that fire. That's what I love about her, man. She's fucking feisty and fiery, and she wants to win. And like, I guarantee she has a thing where she's like, she wants to beat Tia. I guarantee it.
Yeah. Next year is going to be fire if Tia comes back, which I imagine she will. And
like all other sports have these moments that are like some of the most like the coolest moments. Like I just saw a post on ESPN the other day. I think it was, I don't want to butcher the name. So it was a football player, and they caught like on the TV that the background of his phone is the picture of him leaving when the team lost the AFC championship. There's a picture that was famous of him like leaving head down, and like that's the background of the phone. And I just think that there's this in all other sports, these just really powerful stories behind like, even if you lost, like you got to come back strong. You're trying to like almost come back with a vengeance. And I think that the sport can use a little bit more of that.
Yeah. Dude, I had so the year I didn't qualify in 2015, when I didn't qualify for the games that year, there's a moment, and I'm so fucking thankful for Savon because he had the camera in my face. The moment I looked up at the screen and I saw that I didn't qualify, and there's like, and I went to and he had it on the behind the scenes, and I literally snapped a picture of that moment where like I'm looking up and like, and I could just see like the expression on my face, and I was like, I never want to have that feeling again. And I kept that picture and I looked at it probably daily during that 2015, 2016, like lead up into the 2016 season. And it was just like, it was the same thing, man. It was like a phenomenal fire, like starter to just like always there, always reminding me like, oh, do you want to take the day off today? Do you want to not go do the 5th round or 6th round of that workout? Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. You can look back at that picture right there and be like, you want that feeling again? And it was like, no, I'd rather go hurt in the gym than ever have to have that feeling again.
Dude, I got a question on that, like for me, I listen to some of the athletes when they're getting prepared to come in, and it's like, oh, what does success look like? And maybe if you're a rookie, like I kind of get it. Like you're getting your feet underneath you. Like I could wrap my head around that. But like, if you're there after a few years, like your goal should be like, it's pretty clear and simple to me. Like you're there to win. You're not there to podium. You're not there to take top 10. You're there to win. And yeah, obviously if you take a podium spot or whatever, like that is what it is. You should probably be, but your goal is to win. And I think that it's interesting. We talk to some of these athletes where their goal is not to win. It's like, oh, I want to get into the final heat. It's like, dude, I mean, you're almost like setting yourself up for not reaching your potential. What do you think about that? I mean, aside from maybe the rookie year, I could get some, I have some wiggle room there.
I love that you brought that up because it's one of my favorite things to talk about, right? Because goal setting.
Here we go, baby.
Goal setting is a fucking
kids in CrossFit.
Let's go, baby. Let's go. And but no, like this might sound really strange, but it was exactly how I felt. My first year at CrossFit in 2011, my goal was to win every event, every test, right? Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. I was like, I didn't come here to get beat at anything. And I remember like in the open, I didn't want to lose I wanted to win every open event. I wanted to win every event at the regional, and I wanted to win every event at the games. And I'm like, anything less than that is going to be short of my goal, right? Could I still win the CrossFit Games and like be happy? Of course I would have. But I'm like, why the fuck would I go into any workout and not expect or strive to win, right? And so I don't know, man. Like when I hear people like what you just said, oh, I'll be in that final heat, or I just want to qualify for the CrossFit Games. It's like that is setting yourself up for failure, right? Aim low, you're going to miss low, right? You aim high, you might miss high, but you're still high, right? Like as corny as this sounds, and I think I said this the other day, was like, if your fucking goal is to get to the moon, right? If you get up to the clouds, you're still pretty fucking high. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So like I always say, have ambitious goals, right? Have these crazy goals, but you can't let it deter you when it doesn't go that as planned. Cause now your target just drops a little bit, right? Now it's just a little bit lower, but you're still up here, man. You're not down here. Like you set yourself up for failure by like, oh, I want to go to the CrossFit Games. And then when you reach the CrossFit Games, now your goal's over. So now the CrossFit Games is just this like parade.
Yeah.
You know, instead of it being like, oh no, this was the fucking goal. And then, like when you don't feel like you belong, or you don't feel like you're like, oh, do I really belong here? Damn right you belong here. You're fit, you're really damn fit. And like, and what's the difference between you and every other person at this competition? Nothing, man. Like that's always been my mindset the whole time. If anybody else can do it, I can do it. Right. And so it's hard to see. And you could tell that like some of these athletes really need to stop being the old, oh, it's about the effort. And it is about the effort. I don't want to say it's not, but stop looking at it that way. Look at it like, no, my goal is to fucking win and dominate. I don't just want to win. I want to fucking dominate, man. Like you listen to Tia talk about it. Like Tia wants to fucking dominate. Like she wants to win everything. And that was the same mindset that I had. It was like, I remember winning 3 of the first in the open. I think the first year I was there, I won 2 or 3 events, and I was like, and I was like second in one of them. And I was like, okay, cool. 3 out of 7. I'm okay with that. Right. I did really damn good. And then, at the regionals, I think I won 3 or 4 events, and then I won the regional. I was like, okay, but like, if I would have went in with being like, oh, I just want to get on the podium, like I wouldn't even come close. You're right. Cause I would have like been okay with like getting maybe 1 win or something. But man, like, you know who Cale Sanderson is?
Cale Sanderson.
He's the Penn State head coach, wrestling coach.
No.
And so he was.
No, but I love wrestling coaches. I mean, they're built different.
Dude, they are, man. And so Cale Sanderson is like one of the greatest athletes of our generation, and nobody really even knows about. Wrestlers know about him, obviously, but this dude was a 4-time undefeated state champ, high school and collegiate, and then a 4-time undefeated national champ. And then went to the Olympics. I think it took him a couple tries, but he won the Olympics as well. But like this dude, his senior year, I don't even think he let up a takedown in college, right? Or something crazy. Like he had some crazy statistics where it was like dude never got taken down. He only gave up points by like cutting dudes from like whatever. Like no one ever took him down. And that was his goal, to never get, like, he's like, my goal going into my wrestling matches was to not get taken down. And I'm like, yeah, why don't I have these fucking crazy ambitious goals, like winning every single event, right? Why do I want to settle for anything less than that? And so that's how my mindset was the entire time I was competing. If I wasn't going there, the only time my mindset changed was in 18 when I knew I qualified, but my knee was so jacked up going into the games. I was like, I kind of had a feeling like this was going to be it. Like this was probably going to be my last year. And I'm like, I earned my spot, and I'm going to go and I'm going to get through as many events as I can. And that was the only time I had to shift from that, like, I want to win this, to like, I'm here to participate.
Yeah.
And, and it was what it was, and to be honest, I was actually proud that I was able to make that switch in my brain and not be like pissed off the whole time, and actually like appreciate the ride.
I think that mentality, Josh, is what made you one of the funnest athletes to watch on the floor, because I'm very different than the two of you in that I actually haven't competed, but I was very much a fan. And I remember that, like, your emotion and reaction to events and the wins, it was always like the most palpable out there. And it makes sense now hearing that you went in with that mentality of like, I'm here to win each one of these events. And I love that, man. I mean, some of my favorite baseball players are players that, like, they'll make an out and they'll be so pissed, which is crazy because, if you hit 300 in baseball, you're like, awesome. So you're not getting on base literally 70% of the time. And I love the players that, like, they'll pop up and they're just like pissed, because I know that they're going out there every single at bat expecting and wanting to make something happen. They're not going up there and being like, hey, if I hit 250 this season, that'll be a good season. So no, I love that, man.
Yeah,
I like that mindset, man. But you're right, dude. Remember those iconic, there was one photo, Josh and Rich, they finished like this like monkey bar event or something, or a rope climb event. And there's like that. That was a cool picture. Remember that picture I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And then you and Rich, man, there's been some iconic stuff, dude. The sport's going to go through some changes. I think next year, I have an idea of what's going to happen, but I think it's going to be good for the sport overall. But just real quick, I want to ask your opinion on something before I forget. When it comes to your boys, have they expressed any interest in like outdoors, hunting, things like that? And if so, how have you explored that?
Yeah, they have. They actually have a little bit. And I do some hunting. I'm not like the biggest hunter. I didn't get into it until a few years back. And I've taken them camping. I've taken them shooting a little bit, not anything crazy, but just a little bit of shooting. And so, yeah, I do. I want them to be exposed to, hey, how do I, if for some reason, some crazy reason, like being able to like kill an animal and then skin it and then eat it, right? And then like providing for your family. Like not everybody goes to a supermarket to get their groceries, right? Like not everyone goes to get their food. And so being able to be a man and like, hey, if I got to provide for my family by going and hunting or fishing or whatever, getting the job done, I think it's cool. It's a cool skill to have as an adult nowadays, because it's not as popular or as, normal as it used to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Gabe and I talk about that a lot. Like like harvesting animals, stuff like that. It's my son's very interested in it. And so it's something that I want to explore more with him. He just has this, innate like desire to figure out where does his food come from, things like that. He has a lot of like stuff that he's interested in. We got to kind of pick and choose, because if it's up to him, he would do everything. Like, like
I wonder who he gets it from. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah,
bro, he'll come home and be like, all right, let's go snowboard. Let's go to the beach. Let's go play baseball. I'm like, bro, come on. Like, let's just pick one for now. Like, come on.
Right.
And,
now you know how I feel.
But, anyways, I was just curious on your thoughts there. I'll have to keep you posted on, how we explore that. I'm talking to some guys about trying to do it the right way, trying to have someone who's really an expert take us, because it's just not for me.
Yeah. Like I've definitely taught them, about how to respect guns, like how it's not like a toy and we don't play with them, and, basically teaching them the safety of like handling, or, and how every gun you pick up is loaded. No matter what you think, it's loaded in your brain, right? Like there's something, if I point it at someone and accidentally shoot it, like bad things could happen. And so you have to be very vigilant, very like, disciplined when it comes to handling a weapon like that, right? It's not a toy. And so I've gone over those safety mechanisms with him, and, cause there are guns in the house, and, they're obviously locked away and stuff like that, but it's still like, doesn't matter. Like I need them to know when they go to buddies' houses or whatever, like that's just not, like your buddy starts pulling that stuff out, like you in that quickly, and you call someone or call me, and like, because that could be a bad day for a lot of people.
Dude, I agree with you 100%. It's funny, obviously I live in California, and I think that we've done the same thing. So like we go almost monthly. Caden gets training from a local department here. And early on, because he had an interest, like it's his interest. Like my daughter, she has no interest, but I still need her to understand. I don't want them to be curious. I don't want them to like, oh, look, like you're at a friend's house and there's a gun, and they're curious. It's like, no. If we teach them right, they won't be curious about it. They'll know, hey, that's dangerous. We need to go find an adult, and we need to, put that away immediately, like.
Right. Yeah. Like they just have to know that it's like, it's not a toy. It's not something to be played with, right? It's a tool to be used for a couple of different things. And if your buddy who wants to be a little jackass, little knucklehead at the time, hasn't been taught this, right? You need to be the one that steps up and be like, no, man, put that shit away, put it down. That gun could be loaded. You have no idea. And you have no idea how to even handle it. Right. Dude. So, just like teaching them that, like, and be like, you got to be the leader too. Sometimes you got to be in charge when your buddies, this is going to happen. They're going to be knuckleheads, man. They're going to try to take you down weird things that like, because they're just, they don't know, and they're immature, and maybe their parents just aren't around as much. And so you got to be the one that steps up and takes charge sometimes.
Dude. Yeah. I like that too. I'm writing down. No, it's the truth, man. Cause like, in high school, like you're just stupid. Like I just look back at some of the stuff I did. I'm just like, dude, I was an idiot. Like what was I thinking, And if I could just layer that in just a little bit with my son and daughter, but mainly Kaden, like, hey man, you guys step up and be a leader. And, we talk about that in terms of like bullying and stuff like that, like how unacceptable it is to ever participate or condone that type of behavior. But that's not where it ends, right? It's other things too. Like if people are doing stupid shit, you gotta be a leader, right?
100%. Not the bullying thing is a big thing for me too, man. Like it's definitely like something I've, as a when you have a 13-year-old boy, they can get pulled into those scenarios, right? And dude, I got this phone call. This is kind of a funny story. I got this phone call, and it's like, hey, Jack, I guess, was teasing a girl that for whatever reason he got in trouble. And I was like, okay. So he gets home, and I'm like, all right, come with me. We're going downstairs. And I like start like laying into him, just like, all right, you're going to do burpees until I'm tired of watching you do burpees, because you did something that I've told you over and over again, that like, if you ever do it right, you're going to pay the man. You're going to pay the man.
Ask him what the situation was before that, or did you get color on it or clarity?
No. Yeah. So hold on. That's kind of where I'm going in the scenario. And like, I was actually super proud of my son, because he just like handled it like a man, and he wasn't like making excuses or anything. And I mean, we were down there for like an hour. He was doing burpees for an hour. And I'm like, how do you think that little girl feels like right now? Like you're sitting there, like you think that felt good? Did that make you feel good? Did that make you feel like a man, like teasing some little girl, right? That whatever. And then at the end, so he gets done. He's like, Dad, just so you know, like that little girl, she always makes fun of me. And I basically just like, I finally got tired of being, she liked the little girl, I think liked him. Right. And so her way of trying to flirt was like teasing him, but like he wasn't liking what she was saying. Right. She was like teasing him for his height or whatever and calling him short over and over again and then like getting real nasty with him. And he's like, yeah, just so you know, like this is why I kind of like fired back one time. And it was because like that little girl had just been like basically like laying it on to him. And I was like, dude, why didn't you tell me that? Like
tell me that an hour ago.
I'm like, what? Like you just paid the man, dude, for an hour. And I probably would have been like, oh, okay. That's not as like what I thought it was. That's not the scenario. But dude, I was like, he just like took it, man. He wasn't like making excuses and he just was like down there and he was like doing it. I was like, I was proud of him, to be honest, that he like did it. But I was also at the end, I'm like, hey man, like sometimes just like give me a little bit more heads up. But I was already so fired up because I thought like, oh, my son's bullying some little girl.
Yeah.
So I'm like pissed off.
What do you think is a lesson for you though on that? Like, cause I haven't been in that situation before. So this is not a judging thing. Cause like, I imagine if I got a call, I'd be like, bro, what are you doing? Like, come on. Like, yeah. And, I actually like that style of like, cause we don't like spank or hit our kids. It's just not, I mean, people can do what they see right, but that just in our house is just not our thing. Like,
no, it's like, okay, yeah, you're going to be dumb. If you're going to be dumb, you're going to be hard. That's what I was always told. Right. So you're going to be, so burpees were just like, I actually started them with like devil presses. And I was like,
an hour
after like 5 minutes, I was like, okay, put the weights down. We're just going to do burpees. And I'm like sitting there lecturing him the whole time. Like, I'm not even counting his reps. And I'm like just lecturing that like while he's doing these and he's like looking at me, like being like very responsive and very like, okay, Dad, I'm like, I could genuinely tell he felt bad, but then in the end, he kind of like, just so you know, Dad, like this is what happened. And so like, since then I definitely, the lesson I learned was let me get some clarity before I just hand out a punishment, and actually like not just take one person's word for it. Like, cause my son doesn't, at least I don't think he's lying to me. Typically, he's very, if he does something wrong, he's typically quick to acknowledge it and be like, Dad, I'm sorry, that was wrong, kind of thing. And so, yeah, I definitely need to like start asking a little more questions than just be like, fired up, ready to go. Like, all right, that's it. Let's go.
Dude, that's great. I love that story, man. Yeah, it's a good lesson though. It's something that I'm sure that I'm going to have to, I like to say that when the kids do something stupid, I'll give them a little bit of grace only because I know how stupid of stuff I've done in the past. That being said, you want to set the tone that like, hey, this is stupid. This is inappropriate, etc. But, dude, I appreciate you sharing that story. Cause like, this is the way, like one of the reasons why, where we're kind of taking this podcast is like for the last time, actually we sat down like long form. I was in California with you. That podcast, dude, it's gotten great reviews on YouTube and all this kind of stuff. But we were really talking about your, military background and wrestling background and mindset. Where Gabe and I really want to take this podcast, is really just talking about stuff that's like important to us. Like your goals are identical to my goals. Like I want to be able to train hard and live free, be able to go do things with my kids, be able to be that guy who could show up and like everything we've talked about today on the show. And like, I feel like the only way that we could level up and I could level up myself is also having more and more conversations like this, especially because you're a little bit ahead of me in terms of the journey, in terms of the age. And like what, even like the lesson you just share with us right now, like now I'm thinking like, dude, what happens if it does something like that? Like, how would I punish my son? Like I'm thinking about like, I've never thought about that, cause like,
I didn't really know how to either. I didn't know what I would do. And it was kind of like in my head, I was just like, okay, like you want to pick on someone and make someone hurt, right? Like in my mind, how I correlated the punishment was like, you made this little girl feel really bad. Like she, like, you don't know. And that's what I kept saying. I'm like, you don't even know, man. You don't know what you did to that little girl. Like she could be at home right now, like crying, bawling her eyes out. Like, I don't know, like having really bad thoughts. And like, you could have ruined her week or whatever because you wanted to make fun of her because you want that make you feel good. And so in my head, I'm like, well, if you wanted to make her feel bad, I'm going to make you feel bad. And how am I going to make you feel bad? You're going to do burpees for an hour, And I told him, I was like, there's no time frame. You're going to keep doing them until I'm tired of watching you. And so, yeah, that's kind of how I correlated the punishment, where I know I'm kind of like saying something that I said earlier, where I was like, oh, I never wanted working out to be a punishment, but burpees aren't really a workout. Burpees suck. No,
and at this point, you've already like, you built that reputation with them.
Yeah.
Like, working out is not a punishment. This is a punishment. Like using a workout, you know what I mean? Like, exactly. I think it works perfectly, actually.
Yeah. So I was just like, in my mind, I was like, you wanted to hurt that little girl, so now I'm gonna this is how I'm gonna hurt you.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, Gabe, I want to make sure we're sensitive of Josh's time. Any kind of final things you want to ask Josh before he kind of takes off? I mean, I could talk to him for a lifetime about this stuff.
No, we'll have to have him back on. No, this is really good.
Yeah, for sure. Anytime, man. I'll come on. I love talking to you guys.
Well, dude.
Oh, here's actually a final question.
Let's get it.
I actually wrote this down because I want to give Jason a hard time. So you go into the cold plunge every time. What do you have your temperature set at?
Okay. Here we go.
Mine's at 39.
39. Yeah, so is mine. 39. Jay, what's your temperature set at?
39.
39.
Yeah, 39. We'll leave it at that. That's a perfect place.
According to Andrew Huberman, Andrew Huberman says there's benefits if it's in the 50s. So, the way that I justify it, Josh, is that every day my daughter goes in the cold plunge. And so we set it at 55. And I say that it's because of her. The truth is, it's because of me. The truth is.
Well, you're an honest man. I like that.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Yeah. That's funny, man. Yeah. Just keep lowering that thing back. Get down to 45, then go to 40, then go to 39.
I'm going to write that one down. I'll write that one down. That's my next goal. Well, brother, appreciate you, man. We got to have you back on, and I know you got a lot of things going on. So we'll, I think that the best place, obviously you on IG, always inspirational workout content. Is that the best place for people to kind of see some more of your stuff?
Yeah. Instagram is a great place. Obviously my website, josh-bridges.com. Those are the two main, then gooddudescoffee.com. Three places. Got to make it happen. Well, right. Josh, we'll be in touch, and Gabe and I are going to just talk a little bit about kind of some of our little takeaways, and I'll hit you up and hopefully have you back on again. Sounds good, brother. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it. Always fun to talk to you guys. All right. Thanks, Josh. Going later. Oh, Josh Bridges. That was a good conversation, huh? It's also, for me, it's fun to like almost be a fly on the wall on some conversations between like when it's you and someone else that's like been an athlete at the level that you guys have been at the games. Like, it's fun because like Matt, our guest last week, amazing, Matt Boudreau. I feel like that was more of a conversation where it's like the three of us, but it's fun to like just listen to you guys, chop it up about like what it was back in the day and the events. And like, these are such vivid memories for you guys because, to Josh's point, like you guys went into battle together. So that part is cool. We talked about cool stuff, but it's always cool to like be able to be like a fly on the wall in this conversation. Dude, I was actually surprised. Like, the big thing for me, obviously, we align on so many different things, but I think that, and we do a lot of similar things with our kids, but one of the things I liked that he was talking about, well, obviously be the leader, but when we were talking about winning every test, like, dude, you could just tell by the way that he's talking about it, like he believes exactly what he's saying. Like he believes that if you want to dominate in the CrossFit Games, you need to believe you can win the CrossFit Games. Like he was going in, and that's one of the reasons, like you said it best. That's why when you finish events, like, dude, the enthusiasm, the passion, it just, I don't know, dude. He exudes what the sport's about. So I loved that conversation, man. I could talk to him for hours. Yeah, that was a fun one. And one thing I didn't share with him, I'll share it next time, is he was also like, him and Spieler were almost like always two of my favorite athletes, because like when you're a smaller athlete, like you really want to root for the guy because he was always on the smaller side compared to everyone else. Yeah. And it was always cool to see like those two guys go out there and obviously dominate in the things that were in their wheelhouse. But then like, it was even more exciting to see them like hold their own on the things that really weren't in their wheelhouse. Cause it was just so much grit, so much like, you got everything going against you when you're smaller than the other guys, and you have to
deadlift 405, right? Like one of the most iconic memories of Josh Bridges was when he got to Cinco 1 or Cinco 2, I forget, and couldn't lift the 405 off the ground. And I can only imagine how frustrating that was. But then he came back, a couple of years later and manhandled that weight. Cool to see the evolution of the sport, but also, him coming back and being able to dominate a movement that, he struggled with at some point.
Dude, 100%, man. I remember that Cinco's. That was a really cool. It was like I can't remember. It was like a handstand walk and deadlift or something like that. I got to go back and look, but yeah, you're right. For like a smaller athlete, Spieler in particular was like the first guy who like really like said like, hey, you could be small, but you could still compete with the bigger guys, because I think Spieler was like 130, 140. The average weight of a CrossFit Games athlete, average male CrossFit Games athlete at this year's game was 205 pounds, if I'm not mistaken.
That's big, man.
It's big.
It's big. It's real big.
Yeah. So, dude, well, yeah, man, we have a new newsletter. I want to talk about it just briefly. I think that for people who listen to this podcast, first off, we appreciate you. And where we're going with it, we've talked about, we're going to talk about a little bit more in the future about where this podcast is going. But having conversations like that are just things that really inspire me, because I want to be the best. I want to win when it comes to being a dad, to protecting for my, to providing for my family. I want to win there. And the more conversations we have like this, the more I feel like I walk away like, yeah. And that's what I want everybody listening to do. So we have a newsletter. You want to tell us a little bit about the newsletter and how people can sign up? I imagine it could be in the podcast show notes.
Yeah, the link will be in the podcast show notes. This is in line with a lot of the messaging that we're trying to put out, just in a different forum. It's the Never Zero newsletter, and it just really dives into this idea of never letting your momentum get to zero, right? So we're all going to have busier seasons in life where it's not easy to go and spend an hour in the workout and spend, a bunch of time working on yourself, reading books, listening to podcasts. Like, it might be absolute chaos. It might be you started a new job, just had a kid, like whatever it is. And I think that it's really important to, same way Josh was talking about this mentality of like trying to win every event at the CrossFit Games, this is almost the opposite, but just like never letting it get to zero, like never letting there be a week or an extended period of time where you haven't done anything to further yourself and be a better dad, protector, provider, parent, whatever it is. So yeah, I'm excited to collaborate with Jason on this, and every week send out some really cool fitness inspiration, podcast that's top of mind, book recommendations, and just like a little write-up that hopefully people open that up on a Wednesday and just get fired up to, no matter what's going on that week, not let that be a 0% week. It could be a 5% week. It doesn't have to be 100% week, but it just can't be a zero. So yeah, man, I'm super fired up for it. People can sign up in the show notes, and it's going to be something where we're also going to have a lot of fun with here in the beginning. There's some really cool giveaways that we have lined up for people that are signed up. There's even, I don't want to tease too much out it, but there's a grand prize trip to Texas, spend some time with two absolute studs, and train with them. So we'll kind of release those details as they come up. And the only way to sign up to win any of this stuff is to be signed up for the newsletter. So make sure you sign up. The link is in the show notes, and I'm super fired up about it.
Dude. Well, Gabe Yanez, you're right. I did kind of open up like an ESPN because I just got done.
Oh, dude, it was so funny. I wanted to say something right away, but you guys started going back and forth. But you literally opened that up like we got Josh Bridges here. Like it was so funny, dude. It was so good. Well, you've never opened up a podcast like that, and you come off like he's on ESPN one weekend, and now he's like Sportscaster Khalipa over here. It was really funny.
So my new nickname is going to be Sportscaster Khalipa. Well, we'll have to catch up about that because that was a cool experience. But
yeah, for sure.
Today's episode, I thought that was great. Everybody who listens, simple ask, leave us a rating, leave us a review if you get value from the podcast. And we're going to keep putting in, investing time, energy, effort. And all we ask in return is if you leave us a review, that'd be great. Keep crushing it. We'll see you again next week. And thank you very much, Gabe and Josh Bridges. Let's go.